Uh-huh.
Let me reiterate that. Let me reiterate that. Dressing room. 2 doors on both sides. One of them leads to the second class cabins. I have no words.
Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of surprised that that ceiling fan isn't getting caught on that pipe or the wall for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have a lever for the watertight door. What even is this room? It's certainly not. It's certainly not. Yeah, what even is this room? It's certainly not. Not like. It's certainly not like an officer's quarters or something. It's way too small to be one. Like, is this like a closet or something?
Maybe.
Oh, hello. Hey, how's it going? Okay, just gonna stand in the doorway, I guess. Okay, how's it going? Oh, okay. You want to follow me, huh? Okay, we'll just. So yeah, this is a bit of a chase sequence. You actually have to. You actually do have to close the doors, even though you have. Even though you've never done so previously throughout this whole game. And you have to, and you basically have to go through different rooms to lose this guy. And if you take too long closing the doors, he eventually opens them and you die.
Remember me, Mr. Doctor? I screamed and screamed, yet you stayed.
That was not. I refuse to even call that menacing. I cannot take that line seriously. So yeah, even though he's basically right outside the door, you can literally just go right through this through this vent and to the other side, and he's gone. I screamed and screamed, yet you stayed. Another,
Wow.
another slide. So yeah, he just vanishes and gives up the chase the moment you crawl through through an air vent. Like, sure. I mean, I get that. That it's supposed to be like Alexander's hallucinating, but it's like it certainly doesn't do a very good job at it.
Yeah.
Ooh, award, spooky. So, all these hospital beds have all these hospital beds basically have numbers above them. Oh, there's a body in in bed number 20. I wonder what the code is going to be. Yeah, a lot of these puzzles, they're not even puzzles. Like, how shall I put this? It's like the game basically, it's like the game in terms of its puzzles. It basically it's like the game basically thinks you're dumb.
Does give that impression.
Mm-hmm. Especially it's kind of the reason why it's another reason why I actually enjoyed Resident Evil, because aside from it being a zombie game, I actually did enjoy figuring out some of its puzzles.
Yeah, that's rewarding in those games.
Oh yeah, especially considering that in Resident Evil puzzles you actually have to put some thought into them. This it's like you only need one number for a lock combination. You only need to flip one switch. Yeah. Oh, hello. I hear you getting out of bed. I hear you. Hey, let me through. Okay, never mind. You're just gonna block me off again. So yeah, there are bloody footprints that go right outside the ward. Although they basically just stop once you go outside the ward, and there's nothing else. So I'm willing to believe that this guy vanished like all the other guys. Ooh, a morgue. Spooky. So we got some guy's death certificate, but I can't even read it because it doesn't give you the option for text. So yeah, this is actually hinting that you're supposed to push a shelf out of the way. Although, despite the fact that there are shelves out here, those are not the shelves you push. Yeah, noticing a pattern yet? A lot of this game, you're just running around looking for keys. So yeah, this is the shelf you have to push out of the way. And we get a record.
Homes for the damned, to play for the dead. As they seem to sleep, heaven knows they weep. Rest, my child. God knows his soul is defiled. Black Donald will find him, his everlasting fight will be grim. Seek the light. You still thy nerve? You will never leave this vessel. You seem frightened, Alex. You reckon you was all over when you
Not really.
We screamed for you. Remember what you learned about those men who leave their kin like Jess? Black Donald will burn those run away.
I wonder what's gonna happen now. Okay, then. Hey, well, what just happened there? Okay, then, so you're just...
That's a little silly.
It's really hard for me to be again. It's really hard for me to be intimidated by this game when a lot of it's just pre-scripted in the first place.
Yeah.
Horror 101, ladies and gentlemen.
Really shouldn't make your audience got a nose like that.
Gentlemen, I shall need your full attention and understanding for what I'm about to explain to you. As you both know, there's an essential attack here tomorrow at dawn. When the time is right, we will rush the weakened defenses of the crowds. King and country is weighing on your bloody shoulders here, gentlemen. David, you will take 3 men, separate them from your section.
It really feels like the English accents are kind of forced.
Yeah.
Charges dead straight. If this is done correctly, lads, those crowds will never see these chaps coming. But hear me now, lads. This has to be done right. Get all your men on board with this and make them understand. We're not sending many boys up there tomorrow, so we need every bloody one of them. If we muck this one up here, boys, we will never see our chaps again.
You sound very excited about it.
Right, some bloody
We will never see our chaps again. It's going to be great. Okay then. Your turn. Okay. The sooner... your turn. Okay, if it'll get me out of this game, okay, I'll go with it. So yeah, on this shelf you can actually find a revolver, which he basically holds with his left hand. Which I guess he is left-handed, which I will at least give that a pass, because so far he has been opening doors with his left hand, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, the revolver is worthless, because watch what happens. Yeah. Yeah, the revolver only comes in handy only once throughout this game. We'll get to that eventually, but yeah. It only ever stuns the enemy for a brief moment.
Ah.
So yeah, once again we have another instance where we have to avoid the enemies. Well, avoid the guy hunting you, I should say. But again, he is not a threat at all because you can literally avoid him as long as you as you just duck under a bed or a table. And he literally cannot touch you at all. He doesn't even search. He doesn't even search anywhere. He doesn't even search anywhere under them. You just hide until the lights come back on. That's it.
I see. He just limps around or whatever it is he's doing.
Yeah. So once again, here more keys. Trying every door until basically trying every door until we okay. So 22 is the number we have to remember. But yeah, like I said, I'm actually gonna pause for a moment because like I mentioned before, yeah, I'm only pausing because the level is actually flooding simultaneously during the section. But like I said before, like, as you can also know, as you could probably notice by now, pretty much half of the doors are pretty much unopenable. So a lot of the time you're just stumbling around just until you figure out what door to open. Like here's the thing. If you were gonna do that, the least you could do is have some better direction for the player. The least you could do is have some better direction for the player. Like indicate what doors can be opened and which ones can't. Like one prime example is like in the Half-Life series, for instance. Gabe Newell actually once stated during an interview that's the best way to lure the players is through careful lighting, which because light is what draws us in. This game kind of uses it, but not that well. Not that well a lot of the time. And a lot of the doors aren't even marked very well with signs that indicate where you can go. In all, but yeah, that's my whole thing on that. This might actually be the laziest pause menu I've ever seen, by the way. But yeah, that's my whole rant on that. Yeah, if you really want to craft a better sense of direction for the player, the best way to do it is through careful lighting. So anyway, this is where we have to go next, but of course we basically have another locked door. And again, no tension at all. Just wait until the lights come back on. That's it. Another thing here is that you're supposed to use, you're supposed to be able to use the gun to basically shoot out locks, but you're supposed to be able to use the gun to shoot out locks, but the problem is that the problem is it doesn't even work for these particular locks. So yeah, we're supposed to find. We're basically supposed to find a bomb. We're supposed to be able to. We're supposed to find a bomb here that we can use to blow open the door, which kind of begs the question: what is a bomb even doing? What is a bomb even doing hiding in a vent in an air vent in the first place?
Indeed.
Just waiting for, in all honesty, just waiting for the lights to come back on. It's the most boring thing ever.
Indeed.
That was some explosion. Just. And there's no damage to anything else whatsoever.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a chapel, but it's this room is only there just 'cause. And that being said, we made it. We made it to the second class accommodations. And lo and behold, another locked gate, which I am surprised. I am surprised that Alexander doesn't just take the revolver with him to shoot out the lock. Which I wonder if he. I wonder in between levels he just got bored and tossed it away. Like. I could probably use this to shoot out some locks that for some gates that might be in my way, but to hell with it.
Definitely gives off that impression.
Alright, so what else we got?
Tell me about this man who was named Thompson. Ah, yes. The blonde mustache he had. Did you know this man? Did you speak with him on a personal matter? Yes. I was quite fond of him. He ran and he fought. Now, tell me again. Which person am I talking to now? The ancient soul, lost forever. Let me live. Just let me finish. Now calm down. I only want to hear your name. He's coming! No help, Mr. Hill. Only the Kaiser. Ready? Call him, please. We'll continue this later.
Okay, then. So yeah, after we listen to that, this door just suddenly just suddenly opens, like everything else. Regarding the disgrace of my the disgraceful tragedy of my deceased son, Clark. That was one of the the instances of the audio just randomly cutting out. Yeah, like I said, this game, that's one of the things. This game, it can have a decent atmosphere if it when it chooses to, but it's like the sad part is that at least just in terms of the level design and threats, it's just not that well executed.
Yeah, the potential's there. It's just, like you say, executed poorly.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, here we go. This is. You remember when I said that all the pieces of paper are just untextured on the other side? So
Yeah.
here's one of the instances of this. So all of the so this is supposed. This piece of paper is supposed to be supposed to appear tattered, right? But when I flip it to the other side, yep, it's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they couldn't be bothered to texture it on the other side.
Wow.
Especially from my my personal experience with 3D modeling, you can clearly tell that it's just a flat plane.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, you would think that after you pick that up, it would trigger the next event, but apparently that's not the case. The way you trigger the next event is that you have to wander down this hallway, just for no reason whatsoever. With all these locked doors, then come back, and then this guy appears. Then the lights just go out and the gate opens. Which, it's kind of interesting that the lights in this room are on, but all the other lights have just gone out. And even then, some of the lights aren't even, they're not even dimmed. Some of the lights are still on. Except it just tells you that, especially considering they're not dimmed, it just tells you that it's not even an actual light, it's just a Keller. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, so I stepped into this room. Now watch this. I stepped into this room and backed out. Any moment now. Yup! There it is. Just the water popped in.
Oh. Guess what, Mom? I feel like the ship's tilting further back.
Yeah. Like one thing they could have done is that they could have at least made it to where the water is actually coming up the stairway, but yeah. Here's another issue with the locked doors. So before I can go through this door on this end, I have to go through this one, but it's locked. So I have to try this door first, and then go back, and then all of a sudden it's unlocked, which it's dumb.
It really is.
You need help? I mean, the ship is going down. Yeah, screw you, Alexander. It's all your fault. And now the doorway just pops into existence. Alright. Well, let's get out of Dodge, I guess. But anyway, here's a little bit of a cool sequence, at least. So you actually have to, so you do actually have to run as and follow this guy as these hallways are flooding. Which, at least that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alright then. The only downside is how unclear it is. The only downside is how unclear the section is. Like, you think you're supposed to follow him through that hallway by pushing the couch out of the way, especially with his dialogue, but no. What you have to do is push this sofa out of the way, and then go through this door, which is a completely different door, a completely different doorway than what he went through. Yeah, that's the only downside with that's the main downside with this section. It's just a bad direction again. So yeah, apparently the door is locked. Somehow somehow the door just slammed shut, even though he.
Bloody hell, it's locked! Wait a second, Alexander! That'll bloody do it!
Yeah, just gunshots. Just gunshots and no. Alright, here's another thing. So yeah, that's another thing. You think you're supposed to follow him, but apparently not. What? Because if you try to follow him, you just, you just die. Because the wave hits you.
Dear God!
But yeah, I love how he shoots the doorknob, but there's no sound effect for the bullets actually making contact with metal.
Bloody hell, it's locked! Wait a second, Alexander! That'll bloody do it!
So yeah, the thing is, once that wave appears, what you're supposed to do is immediately go into the room on your right. And for some reason, the game just forgets about that because there's no water seeping through the door, and the water doesn't even knock it out of the way or whatever. So I'm going to assume that that Alexander is probably hallucinating again.
Must be.
Alright, now, Alexander, when did you meet this?
Because otherwise, this doesn't make any sense.
In the midst. He must have awakened him. I can see him before my eyes now. His name is indeed Thompson the Unsounding, on a peculiar case of Alexander. That Mr. Thompson himself, amongst all men, had perished on the front line. Condemn your words. He was there. I saw him with my own eyes. Burn those liars amongst all cowards. Now, Alexander, I showed you the pumps. Clearly, Mr. Thompson had never left the fields. You have his picture. Well, what was left of him at least?
Well then. And yet still no water that's seeping through the door. Okay then. Alright, so now we're in what I assume is probably the first class area. At least from the way the walls look. And now the lighting just pops in. Okay then. Yeah, thanks for that. Yay, more matches. You know, I've just got to wonder. I've just got to wonder something, actually. Why would someone keep the keys for someone else's cabin in their cabin? Huh?
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
So you noted they spoke to you through messages?
Yeah. Always in disguise. A strange conversation. Clearly blaming me. They would bloody lead me to places I should not have gone. Like Satan luring innocent. Delightful promises.
And in your case, that lure was outside of the ship?
Yes. I listened to it all. The only demands I ever followed. Like those poor grown souls sailing up with some blue.
Yep, that's the number I just used.
Grown men gone. Full of faith. Rightfully luring me to the dark world of that drowning death.
Okay, so here's another thing. We're basically in a bathroom to one of the first class cabins, and when we go through this air vent, we're now all of a sudden in another stairway. Like, I just gotta wonder, what purpose does the stairway have? Like, would this just be another resting area? Because given the air vent, this place wouldn't lead anywhere otherwise. Huh?
Hmm.
So now we're listening to a lower-pitched version of Hark Thou Herald Angels Sing. Huh? Yes. You okay in there, lady? Do you need me to get you out because the ship is sinking? No? Okay, then. I guess you'll figure it out, like in about 20 minutes or so. You're watching us. Hello. Also, also, here's another thing that I actually found out. It's so the music that's playing in the background, this version of "Hark Thou Herald Angels Sing," well, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's very obvious they actually recorded this in a church because they actually forgot to edit out part of the sermon at the end. If you listen very closely, you can actually hear it too. Yeah, if you listen very closely. Yeah. Yeah, it's very obvious they recorded this in a church because, like I said, they forgot to edit out part of the sermon at the end. So apparently Alexander was due to execution, all just for being a coward. Nice. And then that's just over. Alright, so, again, we have another section that's, again, we basically have another section where, all we have to do is just hide under a bed and until the lights come back on. It's not even scary, it's just boring. Huh. So yeah, that room where we heard those whispers earlier. Yeah, we basically need to go in there and find a key. And in here we basically flip another switch. Okay. Okay, here's the thing. This door looks just like every other door. Why would and these are first class cabins. Like these are first class cabins. Why would there be just a normal door that leads right into the smokestack? And why would the lever for a watertight door be hidden inside the smokestack?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Officer's night, huh? You know, to my knowledge, even a lot of luxury liners, especially back then, at least with certain exceptions like the Lusitania and I think the Olympic, unless I'm mistaken, a lot of luxury liners back then were refitted to be hospital ships. Especially during World War I.
I believe you're right.
Yeah. So I guess it's no wonder why. I guess it's no wonder why the Germans. I guess it's no wonder why the Germans decided to torpedo this ship. And like I mentioned before, if this ship was hit by a torpedo, it wouldn't really take very long to go down. And even if they were to use watertight doors to buy time against the sinking, what would stop the Germans from... yeah, here's a better question. What would stop the Germans just from firing a second torpedo?
Good question.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe they used their last torpedo. Who knows?
Say.
Alright, so here's another dumb part. So this is another flooding section, sort of, but the thing is, you have to evacuate these hallways before before a large wave of water bursts through the door in the back and kills you. And apparently there's a sign on the wall stating that. So yeah, D7. We need to put in the code 25. Although, just watch this. So I'm gonna let the water burst through. Just for a brief moment. Any moment now. It takes a while. So yeah, the water bursts through. Then okay. So you so yeah, the faster you do this, you have a little more time. But yeah, but yeah, you could kind of see it. Like, the water bursts through the previous door, and for some reason, when you go into another part of the level, that door stops. It's dumb. Huh?
Indeed.
Yeah. But at least they tried to take that into account. At least I will give them credit. They tried to take that into account. Like, the faster you do this section, the more you'll at least have more time against the flooding. But yeah. Interesting to know that I can't go behind that stairway.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if you can find another slide on one of these tables, but I don't think you can. Alright, so let's at least do this seriously this time. And again, like, if you're gonna have so many locked doors, how about actually giving some better direction to the player through lighting?
Indeed.
And the checkpoint for the section is so bad too, because they literally send you all the way back. They literally send you all the way back there.
Wow.
Yeah. What? So even the game breaks its own rules. Even the game breaks its own rules. Like if you go the wrong way, you die. Take too long, you die.
Huh.
Ugh. Alright, so yeah, you gotta pick up these keys on the shelf, which you would not know because, which you would not know in the first place because it's so dark. Alright, so... This is the only time the gun ever comes in handy, by the way. Alright, so we got past that section. Now the water's slowly starting to come in. But now we gotta, and now just for all our efforts, now we gotta run all the way back to the dining area, which should be up to the balcony in water by this point. Except this time we actually have to take the elevator and. This time we actually have to take the elevator and hit a control panel so we can unlock a door. Like, we couldn't have just done this earlier.
Oh, wow.
But now I immediately got to hit the elevator button because for some reason the elevator just went all the way back up. And now this guy spawns and he's just gonna slowly creep right up to me. Like, okay. You're just gonna take your time about it, I guess. And he's just gonna stand there all the while I get into the elevator and just and just go back up. Alright, so now we're gonna make our way back.
And you were so eager before.
Yep. Oh, hello again. Never mind, you're just gone again. Alright, so... Alright, so... The good news is... Well, at least or I should say the sad news is... This is the last flooding section in the entire game. I'm not even kidding. So yeah, this I'm gonna tell you this right now. this is actually the last level in the entire game. And before the game was patched, it used to just be a straight shot to the exit. But first of all, let me pick this up. But in the patch that they added, this is what they added. So so for some reason you're, well, okay, I believe, I could get by the fact that he's hallucinating again about basically about his time in the war. But yeah, now all of a sudden you're basically in this tunnel. And throughout this tunnel, you basically come across these notes, basically saying that's right after Alexander was escorted off the sinking ship, he was then put in a mental asylum, and although his life was spared, his life was spared, but he was put in a mental asylum, and he's basically reliving out the sinking over and over again, and all the monsters that have been hunting him down were just illusions in his head, obviously. The good news is your matches are unlimited in this section, which is good because this whole place is quite dark. Yep. So yeah, essentially he's, like I said, he's basically reliving the events of the sinking over and over again.
Yep.
So yeah, both ways are dead ends. Then that way's a dead end. You come back here, this guy's gone, and hello? Okay, bye. There is actually another enemy that spawns in this area. I have actually died. I have actually died in this area, but there, like I said, the real enemy is not even that much of a threat as long as you keep moving, and he eventually despawns like everyone else. So yeah, he was spared from the execution, but yeah. And after going through that, acid trip, then yeah, now we're back on. Now, of course, we're back on the ship, and we basically get these weird drawings of the war, I think. Alright. Oh boy, here we go. So yeah, this is actually the ending, by the way. So this is the biggest bomb that the game ever drops. Like after like 2 or 3 hours of playing, going through syncing sequences and other and a lot of other stuff. So yeah. So yeah. After all that, you go through this door, and this happens.
Very well, Mr. Doctor. Now, as I've stated before, he was wrong. Now, try to remember quite properly. Let's go over this once more. This second life activity, it was operated on yourself. They wanted to help you. Now listen, there were no spirits or souls on the ship. It was just you. They saved you, Alexander. You made it out. You'll never have to let this again, you understand? Now rest your minds. We'll speak again.
So yeah, this is all that happens. This is all that happens when you walk through that door and complete the game. It doesn't show you getting off the. It doesn't show him getting off the ship. You basically just get a "You are winner" screen, and he. It basically just gets a. It basically just gives you a "You are winner" screen, and Alexander is put in is in an insane asylum, and he relives the events of what just happened all over again.
It was all for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, the notes throughout that cave did explain that it did say that that Alexander was spared from the execution and everything else. But here's the issue. Here's the issue here. Show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue with this game's story. It does have a lot of explaining and not a lot of showing.
Yeah.
But anyway, one last thing. The memoir. So this is only available if you collect all 10 of the slides throughout the game. I don't even remember if I actually found all of them in this playthrough or not, but I already found all of them ahead of time, so we're good on that front. But anyway, the memoir basically explains more about Alexander's backstory, so we'll go and take a listen real quick.
Pictured here in Ballater, Scotland, 1916, patient Alexander Doctor before enlistment. Observed to be seated at a table with his father, Herbert Doctor. In retrospect, patient demonstrated early signs of discontent with his station in life. Concerning the war effort, patient exhibited no interest in fulfilling his duty, unlike other young men that willingly enlisted. Early summer 1917.
No wonder why the
Doctor
facial
pictured my
models
family
weren't meant to be
standing in
looked
front
at
of a
up
recruitment
close.
station in Ballater, Scotland. Captured mere moments after enlisting, according to personal record. Hesitant and reluctant to have done so. Patient was now officially bound to head to combat. His facial expressions show us a man far away from reality, even before his fight. Perhaps a dreamer, a man away from society.
So essentially he was insane.
Summer 1917. Patient is standing in front of
what
the
it
family
sounds like.
farmhouse alongside his father.
Yep.
Wearing both uniform and helmet, Patient was to join troop transport the following day. Still reluctant, still unhappy to be heading to the front lines. Patient later clarified life in Scotland was no joy, but was truly heaven compared to the horrors witnessed at the front. Front lines, Messines, summer 1917. Patient is pictured here with members of his platoon. Pictured left to right, Alfred Clark, Patient Alexander Doctor, Commanding Officer Davies, and Lewis Thompson. All of these men, except for Alexander, perished in the attack over No Man's Land. According to letters obtained from families of the deceased, it was clear that Patient was outside of his platoon's liking. The only man Alexander remained on good terms with was Lewis Thompson.
Was Lewis
day
the guy
prior to his
who
platoon's
died during the
over-the-top
flooding?
charge,
That's what
one
I
of the
want to
patient's
know.
unit members was shot dead as he peered over the top of the trenches. It was reported
maybe?
that Patient was in close proximity to this incident. Likely, witnessing this event only added to his well-documented lack of courage and hysterical fear of combat. Patient pictured at start of over-the-top charge. Patient refused orders to follow his platoon members. According to reports, Patient was to offer support fire while his platoon charged ahead. Patient remained in a crouched position, crying and offering no response to orders, even while threatened at gunpoint by his commanding officer. Eventually, Davies knocked the patient unconscious and joined in the charge, resulting in his own death. After the disastrous attack,
Then
Patient
again,
was
can
sedated
anyone
and
blame him?
transported to the isolation ward on the military-commissioned RMS Validus.
I mean, I know he's, I know he was a soldier, but even then, war fucks you up.
Neurological attempt to transform cowardly impulses into courageous behavior. As can be observed, the patient appears nervous and unwilling to voluntarily submit to the procedure. Pictured here, the patient's response to procedure. Reaction is severely negative, and patient is left in a nearly animalistic state of mind. Patient is severely paranoid, believing that platoon members have been brought back to life to take revenge on him for his battlefield cowardice. Most likely, unsuccessful Second Life Act procedure in combination with severe guilt complex has pushed patient into a permanent state of delirium. Directly
That makes
after
a
the
little
RMS
sense,
Validus
at
was struck
least.
by torpedo on the night after the procedure, patient was temporarily left in the ward section while priority transports and crew members were evacuated to boat deck. After the last lifeboat was prepared for departure, a small team was sent down to retrieve the last patient, Alexander Doctor. According to witnesses, the ward was flooded beyond entrance, and patient was found in first-class corridors in a state of severe panic and delirium. Pictured here is the patient running in a flooded corridor before attempting to assault one of the crew members. Patient was knocked out.
He assaulted one of the crew
sedated,
members
and
when he went
transported
to the
off
boat
sinking
deck.
vessel.
I wish I could have seen that.
After the patient was evacuated off the
Indeed.
vessel, he was declared mentally unfit for trial as a result of an unsuccessful Second Life Act. The patient was remanded to an asylum and underwent extensive interviews and mental analysis. Patient is pictured here in present day, 1937, 20 years after the event. Patient still claims he is stuck on the RMS Validus as it takes on water and complains of his platoon members haunting him to this day. With no progress made, and no prognosis of ever achieving even a remotely successful recovery, patient will remain in the asylum for the remainder of his days.
So essentially, you were right. You were right, Twilight. All of this was pretty much for nothing.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, everyone, that is Under Depths of Fear. And so far, my final thoughts. I mean, the game has its moments, at least in terms of its atmosphere. Like, it's most interesting when it's most interesting actually escaping flooding areas, but The monsters, not so much. They're not even that much of a threat as long as you hide under tables and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, I like what the game tries to do. I like what the game tries to do. It's just not that well executed. That's the only thing. And overall, it just ends up being mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Yeah. But but I mean, I would like to see this kind of concept actually attempted again. But hopefully it's much better. I mean, but if anyone is interested in trying it out, at least, if anyone is really interested, I'd at least recommend it. I'd at the very least recommend just waiting for a sale.
Yeah.
Yep. Overall, though, I mean, it's not the worst game I ever played. I mean, I've certainly played a lot worse. Though it's definitely not great either.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot worse too.
I mean, I know it's actually been a lot of nitpicking for the past 2 hours, but yeah. But yeah, it's. I mean, it excels in some areas, and it's not so great in others. But anyway, that's at least some of my final thoughts on the game. Like in terms of story, like that's the only thing. In terms of story, I wish more was actually. I just wish more was actually shown rather than told. Which there's a reason why that's the golden rule when it comes to storytelling.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway, so your final thoughts?
It definitely showed a lot of potential, but unfortunately, due to implications of being rushed and yeah, it got squandered in the end.
Yeah, especially with yeah, I perfectly agree. Like, especially with the fact that there's so many doors that just lead to nowhere, and yeah, there's so many doors and hallways that just lead to nowhere, and the fact with that the game has numerous graphical inconsistencies, with certain video game like with certain assets within the game. Like the most prime example being that sink and being those sinks and the bed and the bed sheets. Like like especially with how bad those boilers looked. It's it's pretty obvious it was rushed because they yeah. I have no doubt it was rushed because they wanted it out. They wanted it out by Halloween.
Yeah. And there have been like a number of demos. I remember a while back, before this game came out, I've actually seen video game footage of demos for it. As I was progressing through it, and um, so there was definitely effort being put into it then.
Although that doorway, that doorway you step through, that ends off the entire game. That was part of what. The most insulting thing is that was actually part of what they showed in one of the demos.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it's been implied that there was apparently supposed to be more there.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I know it's way too much to ask. I know that it takes a lot of effort to animate different character models and stuff. But I would have appreciated if you at least got to see Alexander making it to the boat deck, like how he got off the ship and everything, not just actually, not just have it told to us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he managed to make it off the ship in the end, and yeah.
Yeah, especially especially how especially all in addition. In addition to that, actually showing how he was actually incapacitated and brought into a mental asylum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it just feels like they just left out so much.
It really does.
Yeah, it kind of seemed more just like a walking simulator.
It really does. That's pretty much what it feels like, especially considering there are only a handful of collectibles you can get in the entire game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that there are not even that many threats either, especially for a horror game.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And outside of just a few times you need to hide and run away from something. That's basically all it was. It's just a walking simulator.
Yeah. Especially considering that you can literally just duck under a table or a bed and the enemies can't even get to you. They don't even bother searching under there ever, even if they already know you're there.
Like from what I've seen, like the backroom games, they're not like high-end quality graphics, but even those are a bit like scarier and better done.
Oh yeah. Uh, mm, and the thing is, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, for instance, it was also worked on by a very small team, and it was much better done. I mean, yes,
Oh,
the
yeah.
enemy, and yes, looking back on them now, even looking back on that game now, even the enemies appear at predetermined points. But what made them so threatening but what made the enemies so threatening is that they could actually is that they were actually attracted to your light source, and if they noticed you, it was actually hard to get away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And your
Yeah.
character's sanity dropped the more you looked at them too.
That is true.
Yeah,
Yeah, making them more threatening than they were, or than they already were.
mm. definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, overall. To sum up my thoughts, it's really mediocre, and it really could have been so much more. I mean, it clearly could have done with more development time, if anything.
Yeah. For all the
Yeah. It's a bit more good, but it falls short being a good horror game.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, for all the fun I poked at it at times, it's at worst mediocre.
Yeah, it's kind of tragic, if anything. Huh?
Yeah. Well, you can see overall there was effort put into it. It just, yeah, they just made the mistake of rushing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. At the very least, though, it is it is a bit of it can be used as a cautionary tale on when it comes to horror games. Huh.
Yeah, definitely one of those examples.
Yeah, especially especially rushing a game is never the way, or any product for that matter. Uh, mm, like especially when it comes to games. Especially when it comes to small indie games like say Cuphead, for instance. Like Cuphead was initially worked on just by two people, but the thing is, they mainly focused on on just trying to do the animation first, and then and they recruited other people to their cause as time went on, but the thing is, they focused on ironing it out before they even considered it ready.
Mm-hmm. And look how it turned out.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. But if anything, I just hope if by like I'm just hoping by some chance whoever made this game at least uses this as a learning curve. Huh?
Yeah.
Overall, though, that's those are my thoughts at least. So yeah, that was so yeah. Overall, that was Under Depths of Fear, and hope you all enjoyed it. At least it's the best I can make it anyway.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, next stream, Thursday stream, we will be continuing our playthrough of Grand Theft Auto 5. I just figured I'd do another stream for Shovelware Madness, considering that it's been several months since my last one. Huh.
It's been a long time.
Yep. Huh. But overall, it was still a lot of fun. At any rate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at least a lot of fun to. it's fun to make fun of games like these, but when you have friends around, but trying to go through it by yourself, yeah, it's a bit of a slog.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anyway, that's where I'm going to call it for the night, and yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. We will see you all in the next stream. Later, guys.